Sean and Joe, another episode ready to go. They're gonna talk about the good and the trash and anything in between. Cherishing make-believe, get ready for Halloween. It's the horror show. I know you missed those guys. Tune in and find out what's on their list tonight. They butcher and dissect, take apart and mutilate. Listen to your two favorite brainiacs communicate. It's the horror show.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Horror Show. Show that dissects, mutilates, dismembers, and butchers all of your favorite and not so favorite horror movies and other horror-related events. I'm Sean.
I'm Joe.
Hello, Joe.
What's going on?
Oh, nothing. I'm ready for the red right hand. Bow, bow, bow. We just did a Patreon episode that was super fun. Rating and going track by track on the Scream 2 soundtrack, including listening to the songs.
It was, that's right up my alley. I love music.
That's your jam.
You hit me with a surprise. I didn't know we were going to do that, and I'm looking forward to doing it for the Scream 3.
Yeah, and that's like, I guess that's basically like the fucking essence of this show, right? Like, it's just last minute thoughts that were like, that would be funny.
Dude, that's so funny because last week we did the first Scream, and I had a couple of messages from longtime listeners who were like, I can't believe like how much research you guys put into it. And truthfully, I just looked at, like, I pulled up like a trivia page, like had it up like 2 minutes before we recorded. So I'm glad that it translates well because there is very little effort.
Here's what I'm gonna fucking say, right? I'm not giving myself credit. I go through a few pages, I search a few things, and then I go to YouTube and I watch a few like behind the scenes things. Usually that's the least amount of information I get. All of this is to be said. All of these podcasts that everyone's like, these podcasts are so good. They do deep dives in all the research on these movies. Fun fact, they fucking don't. All of you listening, and me, myself included, we're just too lazy to read the entire Wikipedia. So we just skim it. But what happens when you take like 10 minutes to actually read the Wikipedia is you get all this information.
That's funny because I did not even pull up the Scream 2 Wikipedia. I googled like 15 facts about the Scream 2, and then it comes up with a couple pages.
Oh man, I mean, listen, that's all you do. You just Google Scream 2, you get a bunch of information, and like, by the way, this information is super cool, and it's probably easier to listen to somebody tell you it for sure. Wait, by the way, I take that back. It is for sure easier to listen to somebody tell you it. But like, we're not going crazy here, guys. We appreciate you though for thinking that highly of us. But, we are not, research is actual research. It's interviewing and doing things like that. And that's not what we're doing. We're just reading shit on the internet, which also all of your favorite true crime podcasts do. So,
Damn.
Yo, old school Sean, because I'm drinking that wine again. That wine, Sean. Red wine, Sean. The red wine, Sean.
Yeah. So you've done that song in about as much as the movie did in the first time.
dude, the movie plays that song so often. I don't know. It honestly actually infuriated me. A couple notes, just a couple housekeeping things here. First of all, Merry Christmas. We're coming off of Christmas. Joe, your Christmas, it was good?
It was Christmas.
It was Christmas.
No, it was good. The kids had a great time. That's all I care about.
Yeah, I had a good Christmas. My shit's already packed up. Tree's gone. Everything done today.
Oh, I am so jealous, dude. Tina, it's going to be out for like another month. If it was me, it would have been in the bonfire.
I told James, I said, hey, should we start taking this stuff down today? And he was like, no, man, like leave it up for like till January. And I was like, well, I won't do that. But I'll leave it till you leave today. Yeah, that shit's all packed up already. Yeah, it was good. It was good. And we got New Year's coming up. Probably the worst fucking holiday of the year. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate New Year's so much. It fucking pisses me off every time. Don't know where that hate comes from. But so happy New Year's to everyone. Merry Christmas. All merch pre-orders are out. It's all gone. I got them all out before Christmas, so you guys will be seeing those soon. You got an email with your tracking information, so check for that. Everyone, West Australia, what else? UK, Isle of Man, regular Australia. I don't know the difference between West Australia and regular Australia, but it's a thing. It's a thing. Ireland, Germany. There was a few others, but man, so crazy to see those pre-orders come in.
Love it.
And I also want to shout out Only Flesh, and I feel like I've tried to shout him out in the past, and I always fuck this up. I never have his shit ready to go. Fucking goddamn it. Because he made a music video for us.
I put on my stories the other day. It was great.
I'll put it up on ours also. Boy, he included all the clips from movies we've covered. He wrote a song for the show a while back. I don't use it as often, like in the live shows, as I should. I got to do that more often. It's not that I don't like it, it's just that I'm a fucking idiot, quite frankly. But if you Google Only Flesh, the Facebook comes up along with how to find their music and stuff in their YouTube page. And the first thing on their Facebook page right now is the horror show music video featuring Trickster on the cover of it. Fucking that disgusting freak. I fucking hate that guy. So check that out. Only Flesh. What a good guy. What a good guy.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, he's a good dude. All right, but we gotta talk, man. We gotta fucking chit chat here. We gotta talk about fucking Scream 2 from 1997.
Scream 2.
Dude,
well, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Disregarding this viewing, disregarding any recent viewings, what was do you remember your original impression of Scream 2?
Here's what I'm gonna
and for the listeners, I don't know if Sean loves it, if he dislikes it. I don't know. So I'm curious to see how you feel after, but I want to know your original.
We didn't say anything to each other about this movie, which is kind of rare. Usually we'll say something.
Yeah, the holidays. I watched it for the show right before we recorded, so last minute. Yeah.
So honestly, I did not remember a single fucking thing about this movie. Not one thing did I remember.
Wow, okay.
Like genuinely, that is for sure. And I mixed up. Oftentimes, I thought Scream 2 was Scream 3.
Okay.
I don't remember any of it. I remembered it was at a college. I remembered like some basic stuff, but I did not remember. I remembered Timothy Olyphant. But even that performance, I was shocked to see when he just imitated Matt Lillard for.
Dude, thank you. I have such a beef with that. I'll tell you my thoughts on this, but that in particular, he doesn't do that at any point in time in the movie until that scene.
Yes.
And it's so like out of place. Like why are you all of a sudden acting like that?
It's so ridiculous. It's so fucking ridiculous. But generally, I mean, okay, so that's my thoughts going into it. I was like an open book pretty much for this. Like seeing Aunt Jackie surprised me. I forgot she was in this. There were certain things I guess I did remember like as I saw them, but I don't know. What were your thoughts about this prior to rewatching?
I held it in pretty high regards. I thought it was a great sequel. I remember almost all of it. And yes.
Oh, no, I was going to say you're not the only one because I guess when this fucking hot little nugget dropped, sorry, I've been drinking wine. I'm like a little bit drunk.
Hot little nugget.
Listen, when this little guy dropped, I guess some people were like, this is better than the original. Which is fucking madness to me. That's absolutely fucking insane. Well,
so I had high regards. I never thought it was better than the original, but I thought it was a pretty damn good sequel. I'm not going to say my thoughts yet, but on our Facebook page, which still exists, I always forget to check it. But my buddy Matt W, he made a comment and he's like, to be honest, Scream 2 is pretty perfect until the end. And he is one of the hardest people to please. Like you could show him a masterpiece and he'll be like, man, so when I saw him make that comment, I was like, damn, it must really like hold up. I don't I don't agree with that. I have mixed feelings on it. I don't dislike this movie. I don't dislike this movie at all. I think there's parts to it that work really, really well and that are really good, and the meta parts of it. There's some meta parts of it that I think are great, but there's other parts that are just baffling. It looks like it doesn't need to happen. And also, this movie's way too fucking long. This movie's way too long.
So way longer than it needs to be. And by the way, I think Scream, the original, I think clocks in at 2 hours also, but it was fine.
Really?
I'm pretty sure
This is a long 2 hours then.
Right. I think
Scream.
I think this is a let me just confirm this. Scream 1 runtime is 1 hour 51 minutes.
Okay.
Scream 2
same.
2 hours 2 minutes. So yeah, like 9 minutes, which, you know, give or take, it's roughly the same, but I can tell you right now, if Scream 1 was 2 hours and 2 minutes, it would have been fine still. It would have still been fine.
Yeah, an extra 9 minutes wouldn't have changed.
Wouldn't have affected it. This movie should have cut at 1 hour 30 minutes. Like
it could have been a 90-minute movie, that's for sure.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely. It's actually crazy. And you know, sometimes I know I'm Mr. Hour 30 minutes. I know that, but this is like a perfect example. This is a perfect example of it, where like Scream 2 is fine at 2 hours, or Scream 1's fine at 2 hours. This one is not fine at 2 hours. This one's not okay at 2 hours.
Yeah. And again, I don't hate this movie. I think, you know, horror sequels, it's not always easy, and they had good ideas, and there's a lot of good things about this, but it like you said, there's people who considered it like better than its predecessor. That's fucking nuts. And the first one's legitimately scary.
Yeah.
Even after watching it 15 times, there's no point in time in this movie where I'm like nervous or scared, right?
No,
like,
absolutely
you're just not. Maybe that one scene, not maybe, I'll give credit to that scene where there's they're in the car and it crashes and they have to climb out through the window.
Okay. Yeah,
that's
for
good.
sure. For sure.
That's, you know, that's good suspense. Like, and I remember being feeling suspense when watching it the first time. That scene's well done, but as a whole, where the first one's like a legitimately terrifying slasher, you don't know who's going to strike and when.
Yeah,
it just doesn't add up in this one.
No, it doesn't, and a lot of that is, boy, this movie also, like the making of is a mess. It's a mess. It's straight up a fucking mess, which is crazy because. Boy, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. This movie we're going to start seeing some interesting stuff. And this, by the way, guys, I saw people being like, this should be a what do we call it? A serial killer. It basically is. So, you know.
Oh, yeah.
This is as close as it's going to get probably, because serial killers just take so much extra time to make. But maybe we will, like, because I'm honestly interested in Wes Craven at this point, because this dude is so fucking weird with his shit. Like, this movie, boy, he just like, I don't know what his deal is, but this movie, so here's an example of why this movie is like the way it is, which is Scream 1 and Scream 2 are both among the highest grossing films of 1997, because Scream was released so late in 96. So both of them were on the list of the highest grossing films of 97. And then they somehow squeezed in, like, they make the first one and then they squeeze in a fucking sequel within like 6 months.
Yeah, released less than a year later. Yeah.
That is wild. And it was such a mess. Let me get to for some reason I wrote my notes like a fucking idiot. So Wes and Kevin come back, right? They'll only make one more Scream film together, which is 4. 3, Kevin's gone. Kevin Williamson's gone. He doesn't write the third one, which, quite honestly, after this one, for good reason, right? And 2 more total they'll make together, which is Cursed and Scream 4. And Williamson claims he saw this as a trilogy from the very beginning.
You know, it's funny that you bring that up, because there's a couple things that I read on IMDb's trivia of things that were said where my first thought was like, I don't believe you. It sounds like something you said after the fact.
I agree 100% with you.
Because if you're writing Scream, the first one,
yeah,
and that story is wrapped up,
done.
Why would you have a trilogy? Like, why would you even have a sequel?
And now the one thing that I kind of do believe, just because I've seen so much of it, but like, I guess even that I don't believe. Actually, quite honestly, was that Williamson created an outline for the sequel and sent it with the original scripts, which they probably fucking threw the fuck out. But no, I agree with you. And there's going to be, like you said, we'll probably talk about it more as we keep going, but shit, especially what Kevin Williamson says is very fucking odd and I don't believe a fucking word he says. I'm going to be honest. All of it sounds like after the fact, like, yeah, didn't you like that? And it's like, no, what? Why are you saying that? And this one is a perfect example. Scream 2 started production before Scream even left the fucking theaters. Kevin started writing it.
Yeah.
They leaked the entire fucking script before
online. 1997.
I mean, how does that happen in 97? That's insane. Which causes...
That's very crazy. And even crazier that it was leaked enough for them to be like, I have to rewrite this. Because, like, who was reading it at that point? You know?
Yeah, my understanding was everything was leaked. The killers were leaked. Everything was leaked in it.
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah, but then... Okay, so I read that. But then Williamson also was like, well, what was really leaked was like a dummy copy.
Yes.
So did you see that? Like,
yes, that was what
that's
I
was like buried in the that's like buried in the facts section. Like Williams. So what really happened? Like, is this like a pseudo, troll job? Like a publicity stunt?
And if Scream 2 bombs, is he like, by the way, the script leaked. That's why it sucks. Right? Because that's kind of what happens, because the script leaks, and my understanding is they had to rewrite shit every day. And they were rewriting scripts the day
writing as they were filming. Yeah.
Right. That makes sense when you watch this movie. That makes perfect sense, because there is shit in this movie that does not add up. And you're like, wait, why is this happening right now? And that, so to understand that, I'd be like, oh, that makes sense. But then for Kevin Williamson to come back out after the fact and be like, by the way, that was a dummy script. Well, then why does this fucking suck? And by the way, I shouldn't say that, because I actually like I have mixed feelings. I have mixed feelings, like you said. That's the best way to put it. There's moments I really like, and then there's moments that you're like, this is not Scream like material, right? This isn't as well thought out as Scream. And that would make sense if the script got leaked and you're writing it every day and it wasn't a fucking dummy script. So this guy, Kevin Williamson, and I think there's something else I'll have in here of something he said that you're like, wait, what? Like, what do you say? Like, he constantly seems to be this guy that's like, oh yeah, by the way, that was on purpose. And you're like, I don't fucking know about that. And especially when you find out about some of the ad-libs that were done during this, and you're like... So,
I mean, we can talk about this now. We'll bring it up during the scene, but there's a scene in the college where they're talking about sequels, right? Yeah. Which is a great conversation.
Yes.
Joshua Jackson's character says a quote from Aliens, "Get off her, you bitch." And he says the quote the right way, the way that it is said in the movie Aliens. And Randy's character is like, no, he actually says, like, stay off her, you bitch, or whatever Randy says.
Yeah.
And he corrects her. But the way that Randy says it is wrong. That's not right. And in all of the trivia sections, they're like, well, actually, Joshua Jackson was supposed to say the wrong line, but he said the right line. So then Jamie Kennedy said the wrong line to kind of make up for it. Why would you not just cut that and have them reshoot it? Why would you not just tell them you fucked it up? Just say it the right way. That would be the most easy. Like, you wouldn't even have to stop rolling. Just be like, all right, say it again, but say the fucking wrong line, Joshua. Like, why would you have your character, the movie buff, the guy who knows everything about movies, correct him the wrong way. That doesn't make any fucking sense. You have the ability to make that edit. Like, what?
There's a lot to say about Randy's performance in this.
Jamie Kennedy looks like in any movie where a character has turned into a leprechaun. The beard and like the red tint of the hair. Like, that is what Jamie Kennedy looks like.
That's fucking amazing. Yeah, it is. It's fucking crazy. And I have more to. I'll talk about it when we get into the movie a little bit because it's nuts. But yeah. It's so fucking weird. And back to Williamson, talking about this screenplay and shit. There was one scene that Kevin Williamson's screenplay was described simply, like in the screenplay he wrote this. He said, Wes Craven will make it scary.
Yes.
Does that sound like it was written that it's not?
Dude, I would hope they fired the entire photography staff in the first one, right? Because something was blurry and the guy didn't want to replace everyone, and they got rid of the whole. Why would you not just be like, get the fuck out of here with that? Like, bring in a different screenwriter. Right, Wes Craven will make it scary. Are you fucking kidding me? How do you even know Wes is definitely coming back at this point? Like, what?
Oh man! But still, this movie has a $24 million budget, does $172 million in the box office. It's actually slightly lower than the original. So, don't know how the studios felt about that. Kind of weird there. They also considered different titles for this movie, including Scream Again, Scream Louder, which whoever thought of that should have been fucking executed, and Scream the sequel. Scream Louder. Let's do that. We got some new cast here too. You got Aunt Jackie, who just wrapped from Roseanne. This movie is like the king of let's bring in TV actors and make them movie stars. In a time when TV actors weren't really considered, up to the level of acting in movies.
Yeah, and this is like a turning point too with 90s horror. Like 90s horror gets frowned upon, and sometimes rightfully so, right?
Yeah.
It's like, the most tropiest of horror.
Yeah.
But this, and I Know What You Did Last Summer from the same year, is like really the turning point where they started to make horror like pretty, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Just brought in like good looking actors and actresses, and filled them in as the stars of the movie.
Well, who doesn't want to be in Scream 2 after like the success of the original, right?
Yeah, for sure.
It's fucking crazy. You got
I like the casting in this.
Oh, the casting it's stellar. And I'd probably like it more if it was paced a little bit more like the original Scream, and like
the pacing is the biggest issue. The biggest issue. There's too much downtime.
Dude, there's too much downtime because in the first 30 minutes, it is the most rapid fire shit I've ever seen in my life. I actually took a break. I started watching it. I got 15 minutes in and I was like, I'm writing way too many notes on this. Like, because the first 30 minutes is just like, hey, remember me? And then it's like, oh, wait, you don't remember me, but here I am, Jerry O'Connell. Here's Timothy Oliphant, who you don't know yet, first leading role for him. But like, there was just so many people coming into your life and you were just like, why do I care about these people? And that's one of the biggest problems that the critics had with this. Well, the critics this got widely not criticized. It was held in regard by critics. People were like, this is great.
Siskel and Ebert loved it, and they don't like horror.
No.
There you go.
And it's kind of wild. That's wild to me because Ebert, I think, ultimately said, like, the one issue is, like, this cast that you just don't give a fuck about. Like, in the first one, you had this massive cast, which is always tough to balance. But, like, every one of them, you were like, oh, I get this guy. He could be a suspect. Oh, I get this guy. I get this girl. She could be a suspect. And in this one, it's kind of just like, who the fuck cares?
I think, college takes... I think the first one works so well, too, because it's a small town, small community. And it's like your close-knit high school friends. So everyone could relate to that. Once you get to college, I mean... You're on a campus of hundreds of thousands of people.
Right.
Literally anyone could fucking murder you. And also, as we'll talk about in more detail, nobody seems to give a shit at any point in time in this movie. None of these people, dude, these people, back to that scene where they're talking about sequels, somebody in that class is like, yeah, I sat next to her in like class. Like they know these people that were murdered.
Right.
They're just fucking joking about movies and the murder. It's like, this is the day after. Like, no, what's happening?
And by the way, you want to talk about, like, the first one takes place in Woodsboro, what we assume is a suburb in Southern California, maybe on the outskirts of, like, LA-ish, right?
Yeah.
This one, I didn't even realize it until I was reading shit about it. Takes place in fucking Ohio. Wes Craven's home state. But, like, how in the fuck does Dewey, Gail, Nev, Randy,
California to Ohio?
That's the most absurd shit I've ever heard in my fucking life. And you can email me, you can tell me a million things about it. Listen, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. You could have easily resolved this by just being like, hey, we're in, NorCal, or like even just a couple hours away in a college. But Ohio, like, what was that decision? That seems odd to me. Which, speaking of, we got to remember, because we got a ton. Oh my God, we got a flood of emails talking about Scream memories. So hopefully we have some time to go over those emails from fans, because I appreciated all of those. And make sure you send those over to me, Sean@IHateHorror.com. Any memories you have of the Scream franchise. Let's keep it to 1 and 2 for now. Any episode we do on Scream after we release it, shoot me an email about that episode or that movie. But yeah, Ohio. That was something. So, this movie was filmed in 9 weeks. Now, I don't know how long the first one was filmed for, but I know scene 118 that took place in one scene was 3 weeks long. So my guess is a bit longer than 9 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Again, it has a bit of a rushed feel to it.
Very rushed. It feels and it feels rushed, and I felt that way before I read this information. So you got Timothy Olyphant in his first leading role. You got David Arquette's dad.
Yeah,
coming in there as the chief of police. Again, it was released in December. I don't know if they were all released in December, but I guess we'll find out as we keep going. That's honestly, Scream might be like my new December thing.
I'm fine with it.
I might start watching Screams in December. This has been fun. I've really liked watching it. Even if it's not, whatever. And we talked about the MPAA ratings last week a little bit. Fans really liked that conversation about breastises and PG-13s. This one has another MPAA story a little bit, which is they wanted an R rating. So Wes came up with an idea. Now, here we go again with the stories, right? There's 18 stories to this MPAA rating to get this to rated R. But Wes comes up with an idea to overload it with fucking gore. Like, send them the gnarliest cut you can even imagine, right? And a cut that Wes didn't even want. He didn't even want it that gory, and he sends it to him. Now, one story says the MPAA approves it, right? And that's what we see. Another one says, oh, they approve the R rating, the R-rated one with the gore, but it does cut out some of the NC-17 stuff. Like, there's like a brutal murder for Randy, I guess. Ultimately, I believe the story that Bob Weinstein went to the MPAA and paid them off. I don't believe this lore that, like, I believe that Wes probably did do that, because that's what I would do, right? Like, that's like common, like, that's just simple business, right? Like, I'm going to send them the worst, and then we negotiate, right? And then we cut it, and then it looks better. I do believe that. I don't think that there's any way that, like, I don't think that he cut anything. I don't think that he filmed extra gore with extra money. You know what I mean? Just to send it to the MPAA. Like that's like such like fan lore. Like you can tell, right? Like why would he waste time hey, let's waste special effects money and film money and everything to film this so we can send it to the MPAA so they can cut it.
Yeah, that makes no sense.
That makes no fucking sense whatsoever. Never probably in the history of Hollywood has that happened. Like, let's film.
That should honestly probably be. That should be investigated.
Right. Actually,
what are you doing? Where are you getting those funds from? And like, what are you doing with the rest of them?
Right. It doesn't make a lot of sense to do that. So I think that there's some truth to it, but overall, I think it's a little bit. I think it's exaggerated for the retelling. You know what I mean?
Did you find this to be like gory?
No. I mean, I think there's some scenes that are like fucking nuts. Dude, just to bring up an example here, opening kill with Omar Epps, that's fucking kind of insane. I'm going to be honest. And by the way, to lend credit to, I mean, and maybe they did have to cut some stuff out, but I believe more of the Bob Weinstein paying them off. Like, it was like Bob Weinstein paid them a visit. And suddenly everything was okay. And it's like, well, that's money, right?
Right.
And that makes sense. Like, why? They're not going to cause a major studio to not release a major picture at an R rate. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, they want to make money too.
And the MPAA released a statement saying the underlying message of the film was significant enough to warrant the violence. Which is the weirdest thing I've ever heard. Because what is the underlying message they're talking about? And that sounds like the excuse they use for like war films. You know what I mean? Like, oh,
well, I mean,
Sophie's Choice. Like, but you know what I mean? Like Sophie's Choice should be like probably NC-17 just because that's fucking horrifying. But because
it's like dude, I'm honestly okay with that, dude. If they made that, they should make Sophie's Choice rated X because it's the most horrifying like thought
concept,
film,
right? Yeah. But because,
which, by the way, we brought this up before. She makes that choice in like the last 3 seconds. You have to watch her fucking relationship in the modern day with Kevin Kline for 2 hours, and then you have one flashback of her choice. So what? Fuck Sophie's Choice.
It's my favorite. It's my favorite. It's my favorite reference, and I've never seen it. I'm just saying, I feel like that's the type of movie where it's like the message of that movie is so much bigger than like the violence, right? Associated with it. So like that to me, that's like a movie where it's like that's fucking horrifying. But like, because like not Scream 2. What is the message of Scream 2?
Well, it's do movies cause psychopathic killers?
Stop it.
Cause violence. I could have said.
Yeah, it's true. Anyway,
so Jamie Kennedy, or Randy, I should say, has rules for a sequel that he says. Did you pick up on those? Did you write those down?
I didn't write those down.
All right, so I actually have something written down for once in my life. He has rules for a sequel. It is the death total is always greater. The murder scenes are always much more elaborate with more blood and gore, and never ever under any circumstance he gets cut off here, but there is like a scene where they filmed him saying it. He says, never ever under any circumstance assume that the killer is dead. So those are the 3 rules for the sequel. Do you think they followed those rules? So again, it's the death total is greater, the murder scenes are much more elaborate with more blood and gore, and never ever under any circumstances.
The murder scenes are not more elaborate.
I agree. They didn't follow that rule.
No, and even to assume the killer's dead at the end of this is almost more of a throwback to Scream 1 than it is the rules of a sequel. So like it's actually kind of shitty. The end is fucking, it's actually pretty shitty. So I'd say no to the third. I don't know the death total. I feel like maybe I don't even know if it's higher. It might not be, right?
See, like, I should have looked at the numbers of the two. I mean, I'll go get it right now. But watching it, I didn't feel like it was greater. And if it was greater, it might have been greater for like 1 or 2, which I don't consider to be.
I'd be fucking curious about that. So there's 8 in Scream, and there's fucking 10.
Okay.
There's 10 in Scream 2.
Okay, yeah, okay. So sure, they followed the rule, but I mean, go fucking greater.
And
They
I'll
should
be
have been a
honest.
lot more
I'll
kills.
be honest. The 2, I'll tell you exactly what throws you off. I know what throws us off on this, which is the 2 cops, which is like the weirdest fucking scene.
When he's on top of the car.
Yeah, both those 2 killing 2 cops is such a weird thing for Ghostface, in my opinion. You know, like who's like a guy that kind of just like sticks with, I don't know.
Well, he's not a guy. I mean, he's different people each time, so he doesn't really have a
This
MO.
this website claims to know who killed who.
Yeah, they don't.
I agree. Scream 2 was considered such a box office success that it would be such a success that James Bond, Tomorrow Never Dies, and Titanic both moved their release dates from the 12th to the 19th.
That's crazy.
That's nuts, especially because Titanic like never left the theaters. Remember that? Remember everyone's mom just loved Sing Titanic like 18 times.
I do. Fucking everywhere. Nightmare.
That's so fucking weird. All right. Well, are we ready to?
Did you know?
Oh, whoa.
Did you know in this opening scene, which we're about to get into, Robert Rodriguez directed some of it?
Dude, I found out he directed all of the stab footage.
Not all of it, but
Wait, really?
oh yeah. Well, not all of it. It was the scene with Luke Wilson
Yeah.
and the scene with Heather Graham, which so I guess it's all of it.
That's all-
That's yeah.
But I see what you're
I don't know.
saying. He didn't direct like the stab interviews, right? Like the Tori Spelling talking to the interviewer and being like he didn't direct that.
Yeah.
But he directed just the stab part, which
The
is
movie within a movie.
dude, which by the way, I fucking love that element of this movie. I do. I think that's fucking great. I think that's so fucking cool. But can you imagine spending the money to hire a director? Because like, and by the way, this is just like what you read, but it's like, oh, they wanted it to be separate from West. They wanted it to look different. What are you saying? It looks exactly like the first movie. Just have fucking West direct it. What the fuck? It's because they wanted to film it somewhere else really quickly, right? Like,
Sure.
that's what it was. They were on a fucking time constraint, and they were like, "Can you have another
Luke
director?"
Wilson
do
and Heather
this?
Graham and Tori Spelling couldn't get there in time. So.
They couldn't fly to fucking Georgia to film this to pretend they're in Ohio. Like, they could easily film that in LA, and that's what they did. And fucking Robert Rodriguez went out there and filmed it, and it cut off like 2 weeks of time from the fucking filming schedule.
I'm with you on that.
But
Also,
anyway,
real quick, I just want to point out that they did not tell the cast who the killer was going to be, and they wrote the final page on like special paper so they would know if anyone came in contact with it or whatever.
yeah, they didn't, and yeah, I don't know. Fucking big surprise. They probably all read it and were like, "Oh fuck." Oh, get Kevin here, man. What the fuck is happening? All right.
Now, this opening scene,
Thoughts?
I have mixed feelings on it.
Super mixed, right? I'm with you, dude.
Part of it is a great cold open,
Yep.
right? And then
Absolutely.
other part of it is like annoying. It's fucking annoying as shit.
It's doo-doo.
And scary movie absolutely murdered it.
Oh, and rightfully so. Rightfully.
Scary movie fucking picked that apart.
Yeah. So we open with the premiere of Stab, right? Which is the movie based on Gail Weathers' book. What was it called? Based on the book, The Woodsboro Murders by Gail Weathers. Which opens up, by the way, that opens up a whole other conversation of like continuity and shit. That is something else. But anyway,
they're only a year removed from the murders, right? From the events in the first one?
Yeah, I guess it's like pretty yes, because Cotton Weary's only been in jail for a year.
Yeah, so like pretty.
Yes, it has to be a year.
Pretty absurd that she wrote a book and published it, and then they made a film based on that book.
A film based on the book, and also completely accurate to the real life. When Sydney wasn't participating, and most people involved in it were dead. So, and
dude, also having like a real life murder, and then I don't know. I know movies get made on real life murders. I know sometimes they can be pretty recent, but like the amount of people into that and like glorifying ghosts, all having Ghostface masks,
not a
giving
thing.
out Ghostface.
That's
It's fucking insane,
dude. Running around pretending to stab people, being like, blah, 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 blah.
Based on a real murder. Imagine after the Manson murders, you'd get out like fake beards and let people come in with prop knives.
Swastika temporary tattoos for your forehead.
Dude, you should all be arrested. Yeah.
That's so funny. Now I read trivia on this, which honestly actually upset me. And it said, the opening sequence in Scream 2 was directly lifted from the little-known 1980s slasher movie called He Knows You're Alone, starring a young Tom Hanks. Do you remember the opening scene of that movie?
I don't think I do.
Here, I'm going to tell you, it's not directly lifted, Joe. It's a fucking... Here's the thing. It's weird that the movie theater looks like it. Like, the movie theaters look similar from the interior. Like, there's interior shots where you're like, oh, shit. Dude, that movie is so much different. It's fucking unbelievable. And the girl gets stabbed in her seat from behind and then just, like, falls over on the other girl. It is nothing like this movie. And to call it, like, a direct lift is nuts.
Not even just an homage. Just
dude, it's fucking nuts to call it a direct lift. This is so far removed from that. But whatever, that's fine. But yeah, everyone's dressed up as Ghostface. And then a weird thing here was a contest winner is the usher handing out the costumes in this, right? She won a contest through MTV to be in the movie. And she was the usher that hands out the costumes when Omar Epps and Jada Pinkett go in there. If that's true, and I do believe that's true because there's more information about this, but like,
yeah,
why? And there's also that rumor that the I Know What You Did Last Summer director contest that like directed that scene where it's like, what does she say? I forget, but she's like knees in the dirt. She's on her knees being like, why? What was Hollywood doing at this point where they were just handing out like jobs like to contests on MTV?
People with no experience.
It's so fucking weird. It's so fucking odd to me. But honestly, knowing that was a contest kind of made me believe that I Know What You Did Last Summer thing a little bit more, because I was like, wait, why is this happening? And Jada, we know, you can feel it from the moment this starts, is the Drew Barrymore of this movie, right?
Yeah.
Or attempting to be. And this is no knock to Jada, but I just don't think she had the kick that Drew had at this point. Like, Jada had an insane 96, but was not Drew Barrymore.
Yeah, I mean, Jada was huge at this point, but to your point, Drew'd been around. You know, Drew was more of a household name. She'd been around since E.T., you know,
right,
15 years earlier. So I do agree that Drew was probably a bigger star power name in Scream.
And even Drew, I mean, I guess Drew like even kind of had, I don't know. Drew was always like a star, I guess. But she wasn't like a superstar at this point, dude. Like, she even did like a background character for like Batman versus Robin, or no, Batman Forever,
yeah, with the Riddler. Yeah.
So it's like it's not like she was like massive, you know what I mean? She wasn't like massive, but I don't know. Like, I guess Jada didn't feel the same, I guess. I don't know. But Jada also wasn't like front and center on the cover.
No, yeah, I think that's the difference. Like Drew was
The eyes.
put out there as like Drew's going to be our star, you know?
Right. Yeah. I
mean,
know.
Jada was in Set It Off and Nutty Professor and Demon Knight and Menace to Society, so she was well known at that point.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, and she was in that movie, If These Walls Could Talk, which also had Matt Lillard, which we talked about last week.
Yes.
So I mean, she was like coming off a good year, but I don't know, it just seemed a little odd, I guess, for the Scream franchise. But and yeah, the theater is pure fucking chaos. Dude, I would call.
So I wanted to ask you, dude, is that movie theater is like the most anxiety-inducing thing I could ever imagine.
Oh, for sure.
Being in. I would turn around and get my money back, and I would go see it a couple of weeks later. There's no way I would sit and watch a movie with that many people in there, all in masks and screaming and throwing popcorn at the screen. I'd fucking leave. There's nothing that would make me stay there.
Which is funny because like Jada Pinkett like really wants to go see is it a Halle Berry movie? No, Sandra Bullock. Sandra Bullock. She wants to see a Sandra Bullock movie, and and like to me, once you got in the theater, I'd be like, okay, we're going to go see the Sandra Bullock movie.
Dude,
like,
I would say that too. I'd be like, let's go see that fucking Sandra Bullock movie.
And by the way, Omar Epps does say that eventually, and she's like, no, let's stay. And I'm like, what? What? This is way worse than the line outside. Like, she saw the line outside and was like, this fucking sucks. Get me out of here. But inside a theater of screaming human beings, she was like, nah, this is cool. Like, this is great. Let's stay. So everyone's dressed up as Ghostface. We start the movie, and I love the fucking the movie within the movie. Heather Graham playing Drew Barrymore is fucking phenomenal. I fucking love it.
Yep.
And Graham just coming off of Swingers and Boogie Nights, and like Boogie Nights just premiered 3 months prior to this. So like,
yep.
Like this girl was a star and they didn't even know it. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
That's
good timing.
That's nuts. Like, and isn't that like the tale of Scream? Like, it feels like everyone was like on the come up as they filmed Scream.
Yes.
It's so wild. Jada walking around the theater, she's experiencing some easiness, people complaining about the story and how it's inappropriate, which is true.
True.
Epps is running around scaring her with the mask. And ultimately, Epps is our first victim here, and he gets got by the luckiest kill in horror history when he's in the bathroom taking a piss at a urinal right next to a stall. And he hears what appears to be like somebody whispering weird shit, like mommy. Like, I don't even know what it was. And he's like, which, by the way, if you did this in the bathroom, you should be arrested. He's hearing, he's hearing this weird shit. So he puts his ear to the fucking stall.
Putting your ear, like putting any appendage on any part,
fingers included.
Agreed. Any exposed part of your body, unless you're sitting on a toilet, like any other part is unacceptable,
bro. Especially at a screening as packed as this one. Like, dude, me and you have both been to like Marvel screenings when they're packed, right? Like, I don't want to touch shit in that pre-COVID. I don't want to fucking touch anything. I don't want to use the bathroom. I don't want to be anywhere near these fucking people. And Omar Epps puts his fucking face against the wall. And if you've ever been in a men's bathroom, like, yeah, his head is at head's height and he's leaning up against the stall. I wouldn't be surprised if there's piss up there. I'm going to be honest. Like, there's probably like a 90% chance there's piss that high up on the wall.
For sure. Without a doubt.
And maybe doo-doo. You don't know. You just never know with these fucking public bathrooms. But Omar Epps gets stabbed in the fucking ear.
Yeah. Like you said, a good kill, good looking kill.
Wild kill, man. That's a way to start off this movie, you know, and you're like, to me, I'm like, okay, the violence has escalated, right?
Yeah.
Everything else after this is just whatever, the huge, you know, and that includes Jada, who, somebody returns to the seat next to Jada, not her boyfriend. Wearing the Scream
mask.
Yep. She grabs his arm, finds the blood, and and then gets stabbed by him.
Now, I have a problem with this death because she is. I love Jada. I really do. She is acting like such an asshole being killed. She crawls up to the screen. She's been stabbed like 15 times, and she crawls up to the stage and then stands upright. Like she's already hunched over, bleeding to death. And she stands upright and gives like a death wail. Like bears do. Like when a bear is shot, like I don't know why I've seen a video on this, but like they stand up and they give like death wails and then they die. That is what she does, and there is no need for her to do that at all. Yeah. And also in that theater, nobody would fucking notice because everyone's throwing shit and everyone's screaming and talking over the movie, so it's irrelevant for her to do that.
I was expecting
again
the crowd to
scary movie. Yeah, so Scary Movie. Again, dismantle that because they have the character in Scary Movie talking out loud and yelling at the characters, and then everyone takes turns stabbing her, which is fucking brilliant. That's a great bit. But Jada also told Wes that she wanted to do that because she wanted to have the most gruesome kill in horror movie history,
dude.
Which it's fucking not.
Dude,
you kidding me?
That is the most insane thing. When I read that, I was like, oh, so she ruined that scene? Which, fun fact, this will continue with, and I don't know what was up with Wes, but I was watching behind the scenes footage of him, and it appears he does not give a fuck, and he's just listening to whatever anyone tells him. So an example of this is I was watching behind the scenes footage of Wes directing. He's directing the scene where the sorority runs outside to see what's going on outside. And dude, it's unbelievable. I actually could not believe what this happened. And then Liev Schreiber is standing behind him and he's like, hey Wes, can you put my dog in the movie? And Wes just goes, yeah, I guess. And then you watch them film it with the fucking dog in that scene. They reshot it with the fucking dog in that scene. And Liev Schreiber's like, oh, yeah, thanks, man. That's cool. And I'm like, dude, what kind of director is just like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. And I feel like that's what happened here, too, where fucking Jada is like, listen, I want to film and by the way, you're talking about a guy that made The Last House on the Left. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
He knows gruesome.
Great point.
And like, she's like, I want to film the greatest murder scene of all time. And he's like, fuck, whatever, dude. Like, whatever you want to fucking do. Like, fucking fuck it. Like, the guy knows that that's not the fucking most brutal murder. It's hardly the most brutal murder in history.
It's not even the most brutal kill in the movie. Dude, when that cop is on top of the hood and it crashes,
that's
the guy's
nuts.
face is like ripped off. Like, that's gross,
dude. And he's still moving. He's still moving. Oh my god, that's fucking insane. Oh man, fucking Wes. I do, and like, I actually don't blame Wes for being in that mindset if that's the mindset he's in. Matt Lillard has come out in recent interviews and said that was the mindset he was in. Whether that's true or not, we'll never know. But like, I don't blame him. Like that, like you're asking to like direct a fucking movie with no script. You're rewriting it daily, and like, it's it's not going to live up to the first one. So it's like how hard are you really going to work at it? You know what? You made a fucking masterpiece, and then 6 months later, they're like, make another one. That's actually nuts. Like, that's fucking mental. Oh boy. So she dies on the fucking stage, bleeding out, and the whole crowd goes silent. And again, like, why would I was, again, I don't remember it. So like, I was fully expecting the crowd to be like, yeah, you know what I mean? And like, not realize she's dead.
Yes.
Instead they're like, oh, dear
why would you
God.
not? I mean, why would you think it was a murder, right? Like, everyone's in character.
Dude, can you imagine that scene happening up at like Eastern, like the college that we partied at? Like, there's zero chance anyone would stop what they're doing to be like, oh God, that poor woman. Like, they'd be like, yeah, great job.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't fit into how everyone's acting.
No. All right, so Screen, we get our title screen, Scream 2. We open with Nev dealing with prank callers, and what we talked about last week, caller ID, right? and
Nev now has one.
She now has one, and she's happy to use it as she's getting prank calls and being like, "Oh, is this Jimmy Bob from blah blah blah? This is a federal crime." And you hear the guy on the other line be like, "Oh God, oh God." Which only our idiot friends from our hometown would do, instead of just hanging up.
To this day.
To this day, yeah. 37 years old. And also, speaking of that, Nev's roommate, who, I don't even have her name, because, again, these characters are just so... Oh, boy. They're so bizarre.
Her name's Haley. Yeah?
Haley. Hallie or Haley? Haley.
Haley.
Hallie. These characters are just, like, not, like, established enough. Like, and Haley, like, just comes and goes. Like, she's not part of the original crew, so she's not there often, but she's there enough. It's a weird element, right?
It is, and like we said before, and like you just alluded to now, the first one has such good character development, and it does it so seamlessly. It's not like forced upon you. No. It just it's organic. It happens. This one, it's just not there,
dude. And by the way, this first 15 minutes that we're about to talk about is fucking insane. Of who shows up, and like why, and it's nuts. So we get Hallie and Sydney here, and by the way, Hallie has like a ton of pull with Sydney to the point where she can like determine Sydney's decision making. So you'd think she'd be a bigger presence in the film, but she's not. We also go to Cotton Weary on TV, showing that he's being exonerated for his crimes, doing interviews, and this upsets Sydney, which is weird because they caught the murderers. So
yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I guess because he had extramarital affair with her mom.
Sure. Getting in the bone zone with Cotton. Hey.
Yeah.
Listen, get it in while you can. I mean, but like, here's the thing. She got it on with... What? Listen, don't worry about it.
What are you saying?
I've had a ton of wine. I just filled up my glass again. Listen, here's what I'm saying. Let your mom, do what you got to do.
She was married.
Your dad's always out of town. Listen, it's fine.
I don't know. Anyway, Cotton's being exonerated.
But more weirdly, Sydney's just like really upset. And to your point, I guess she could be upset about the affair, but really it seems like she's more just upset that he's like a living human being on this earth.
Agreed. I can see like what angle they could be approaching from, but it does just seem like she's just furious that this guy's free, which he's innocent. So
he did not murder anybody, which brings up a whole other topic as we get into Cotton Weary a little later, and like really poor writing in terms of, I shouldn't say poor writing compared to Scream 1 versus this. Cotton Weary's storyline is absurd in this. It's actually fucking ridiculous.
Also, Cotton's a dick. Cotton is...
That's what I was going to say.
The way that he approaches Sydney at the library.
Yeah.
And like the way that he grabs her, like Cotton should be locked up.
Yes. I'll go into it more as we get closer. But, like, that is not... The one thing that's lacking, again, we talked about it, is these people, like in the first one, everyone was a suspect, right? No one showed their hand overly to be like, oh, I'm, like, super violent. Oh, I'm, like, aggressive, blah, blah, blah. Cotton Weary appears to be a fucking heinous piece of shit. And, like, he approaches Sydney with such... like threatening mannerisms.
Yeah, malice. Yeah.
That like there's no way to really recover from that as a character. And it's weird. The ending is weird because of that.
to make him a hero.
Right. It makes no fucking sense, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. So Cotton Weary's on TV, and the movie kicks right off with news that the murders were on campus. So Sydney's like, I gotta talk to Randy. By the way, you don't. Randy's not going to provide you any information about this murder. And reporters are already outside hounding her, which is nuts. And we get Sarah Michelle Gellar, man. We see Sarah Michelle Gellar. We see Josh Jackson. Just for a moment, Josh Jackson's a baby and not even an actor at this point, really. He hasn't done much of anything.
Wasn't he in Mighty Ducks?
He was in Mighty Ducks. That was his thing. But I mean, he wasn't like teen heartthrob. He wasn't Pacey yet, baby.
When did Dawson's Creek premiere?
After this.
97?
Yeah.
98?
Yeah, after this. I'm not going to commit to a year.
Okay.
But again, like, man, like we're like, it's so crazy that they like get these guys, like they get these people and then they like end up blowing up.
Yeah.
Joshua Jackson. Here, I'll pull it up. I'll fucking do it for you guys. I'll fucking do it. Dawson's Creek started in 98.
Okay.
So,
the next year.
Yeah. So, and he was in, let's see, what was he in for movies? 96, he was in Robins of Locksley. Don't know what the fuck that is. D3 in 96. Oh, Magic in the Water. Oh my God. I saw that in theaters in 95. What a fucking nightmare. Why did my mom take me to that? He was also in Andre, the movie about the fucking seal that wore t-shirts and a hat. Wait, was this also directed by the guy that directed Mad Max? Oh, no. No, it wasn't. Never mind. Remember how that guy did Babe, Pig in the City?
Yeah.
Anyway. So, you know, he wasn't hot to trot, but they brought him in, you know. You also get Timothy Oliphant acting like a goddamn idiot, but not as badly as later on as Mickey, who thinks he knows like all the best sequels and is listing all of the worst sequels. As Randy's like, name one good sequel, and Timothy Oliphant's like, I don't even know. I can't even give it.
Wait, he doesn't list bad ones.
He does. I thought he did because Randy like proves him wrong. Oh no, I guess he lists Godfather.
No, he says Aliens, Terminator 2.
Oh yeah,
Joshua Jackson says House 2.
Oh yeah, that's the weirdest fucking thing. He says House 2 and its tagline, which is like the second story. Which is fucking great. Actually, that's awesome. Yeah, no, you're right. Timothy Oliphant doesn't. He lists Terminator 2, in which Randy is like, what are you, a fucking goddamn idiot? And then mocks Arnold's voice, which, by the way, Terminator 2 is so much better than Terminator. In my opinion. You disagree, motherfucker?
I think I like I know a lot of people disagree. I like the first one better. That's neither here nor there.
T2's
great.
Shit.
T2's great.
James Cameron bought a fucking submarine off of T2, all right? Fucking relax.
The Randy's Arnold impersonation is one of the worst impersonations I've ever heard. And also the line that he says is so uninteresting. Like, there's so many. He could have said Hasta la vista, baby. He could have said I'll be back. He could have said anything. All he says is, oh, God. And then pretends to shoot. And the class, like, applauds him.
Dude, the class, like, fucking shits themselves laughing. he says, I don't know exactly, but he does. He says, he's like, Sarah Connor, stop. Which is not a line from the movie. And not funny. And the whole class is like, holy shit, Randy's the king. and then the guy's like, I think it's either Timothy or Josh Jackson, I forget. But one of them's like, oh, Godfather 2. Okay, fair.
That's Timothy, yeah.
Yeah, and then fucking Randy comes back with like, doing the shittiest Brando impression I've ever heard. Dude, this is fucking 97. What are we doing here?
Also, keep in mind, this is a class.
But this is a class, and the teacher at the end of him doing a Godfather impression is like, all right, great talk, guys. Can't wait to pick this up next week.
And also, again, just to remind everyone, their peer has just been murdered. This is what they're doing.
Yes. And somebody has already brought that up. Somebody was like, hey, I knew that girl that got murdered. And now this is what they're ending the class with.
And not only that, but Randy has lived through this once before.
And this is insane. So Sydney goes to find Randy, right? Finds Randy, and they start talking, and Randy starts speaking in a British accent.
Yes. Which, in the first one, like, Randy's the movie guy. We know that. But he's never done impressions, and he's never talked in a British accent there. It acted like a fucking idiot, right? And I just want to highlight, before this scene, before she gets him, Sarah Michelle Gellar is like, what would you do differently in the sequel? And he's like, I'd make the nerd get the girl, or whatever. He says like that. So, just red herrings galore. But yes, this scene, they're walking, and he's just talking in a fucking Cockney accent. And
it's insane.
I tried to look up why he's doing that. And somebody asked him about that a couple years ago. And he was like, I have no clue. I just started doing it. He's like, I thought it would be something that Randy would do. It's like, hey, Wes, you have a fucking voice. Dude, call cut and be like, the fuck are you doing? Why are you talking like that? Again, take it back from the beginning.
More reason why I don't think Wes even gave a fuck about what was happening in this movie. Just randomly talking in a British accent is the weirdest fucking move you could pull. You're in a Hollywood fucking movie.
Yes.
And listen, I've heard people be like, that's part of the character. That fits Randy's character. It doesn't.
I don't believe it does.
No. Just because he's a fucking idiot that likes movies doesn't mean he walks around and just starts speaking in a British accent.
And again, somebody they know just died, and it seems to be a copycat of the traumatic events they just went through. Hardly the time to start busting out your fucking British accent.
And then we're introduced to Jerry O'Connell, of Sliders fame, baby.
That's the movie you're going?
That was the show. Wait, or was it a movie and then a show?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, that's the reference you're going for?
It was on Sci-Fi. I think it was a made-for-TV movie that turned into a show. And yeah, that is the one I'm going for. Oh, or would you rather me say Joe's Apartment?
That one.
Which I owned on VHS.
I would rather you say.
Yo, Joe's Apartment fucking rocked. I loved Joe's Apartment.
I don't dislike it.
I loved it. It was a show on Fox and then moved to Sci-Fi Channel. Look at that. Jerry O'Connell was just, and then he did. Oh, he was in Stand By Me. That's right. I guess that's what.
I mean, I thought that was the one that you would go for.
I would have gone. Here's my order. Sliders, Joe's Apartment, Kangaroo Jack, Piranha 3D.
Piranha 3D, I can understand. Kangaroo Jack with fucking Anthony Anderson.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. Anyway, he shows up. He's the new love interest. He's Derek, and Randy is, again, jealous and desperate because of this, right?
Yes.
So same old for Randy. Bummer. Gail is back. She's got a new cameraman because the first cameraman got his throat slit, which is funny because every time the cameraman's like, hey, I don't think this is safe because remember that time your cameraman died? She's like, what are you, a fucking idiot? And including after they realize that this guy's literally copying the moves of the first one. And he's like, listen, this is not safe. And she's like, you goddamn piece of shit.
No, I actually liked this aspect of the movie that the media in particular is more concerned about, their numbers and getting the story out than they are about, people dying, people's lives.
I loved it. Aunt Jackie from Roseanne shows up. I don't know her real name. Meredith. No. Jackie's the fake name. Laurie Metcalf. Right? Laurie Metcalf?
Yes,
yeah.
That's her name, yes.
And she's playing the local reporter, Debbie Salt. Now, this will again be, there will be a million holes punched in this, but that's fine. Debbie Salt, who is obsessed with Gail as a newswoman and trying to scoop her at any point in this movie. You got Timothy Oliphant just filming everything for no reason. You got a young Portia de Rossi showing up as a sorority girl. Dude, this is like 10 minutes in. All of these people are like showing up being like, hey, remember me? And she's trying to get Sydney to join her fraternity, I guess just because her mom's dead. It appears just because she survived murders, right? Like, not great.
Yeah, it's like an infamous celebrity status for her,
right? And it's we're in Ohio. I guess Randy goes to the same school as Sydney because he wants to fuck, which is that's a commitment right there. That's a fucking hard commitment by Randy. But all right, fine, believable-ish. You got Gail there, believable-ish because it's a copycat, but she's a national reporter.
She got there awfully fast.
She's really fucking fast.
Which I guess national reporter, it makes sense.
But like, would you even piece together that this is like, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, yeah, I guess you would be because she's like supposed to be like a hard copy.
Well, it happened at the movie premiere,
right? And if you're like, if you're on Hard Copy or one of those shows from the 90s, like, yeah, like they would for sure be there, right? To be like a stabbing at stab. So, all right, fair. She's there. But then Dewey shows up and Nev is like, oh, what are you doing here? And he's like, I flew in when I heard about it. And I'm like, wait. Heard about what? Like that's a stretch, right? Like, because you're not connecting it to the original murders, like, right? Like,
yeah, not at this point. It's a crowded movie theater, a college town.
Yeah,
like it's not the most. You're right. I didn't even think that hard about it because there's no reason for them to believe there's a copycat murder
at this
just because a murder happened, right? Like.
Dude, look at that fucking crowd. That's like any rowdy crowd you've ever seen at a fucking show where stabbing happens.
You are with that many people in masks and like college age and drinking, like the chances of being stabbed are incredibly high.
And probably by like your best friend. Like more than likely your best friend. So
shout out to Sharkfin.
Like, it's just bound to happen at some point. So it's not like you'd be like, holy shit, like, but, again, Gail, fine, everything's fine, but Dewey showing up to be like, oh, God damn it, I flew in as soon as I heard about it. What?
Yeah, it's ridiculous, especially since he lost his sister. Like, it's ridiculous. And the way that he conducts himself, too, is just not how somebody would react after that.
The way he conducts himself is out of control in this movie. Gail confronts Sydney here and brings she's like, hey, you want to talk? And Sydney's like, no. And then Gail's like, oh yeah, well, I've got a surprise for you. And then brings over Cotton and is like, we've got the reunion of the century here. Which is fucking nuts. And then Sydney slaps Gail again.
Yeah.
And for a minute, you think, this guy Cotton's like a good dude because he's like, you didn't.
Yeah, because he's like, why didn't you? Yeah, he's like, why would you do that?
Like, are you fucking serious? Like, you just surprised her with this? Like, that's nuts. And you're like, all right, I get Cotton. Yes. Also, a weird reference here is Randy comments on Courtney Gail Weathers getting like her nudes leaked on the internet.
Yes, which. Really happened to Courtney.
Well, Courtney was like her face was superimposed onto fake bodies.
Oh, that's what happened? Oh.
Yeah, she never had a leak. She never had a nude leak in the 90s. I don't know if she had anything afterwards, but like, let's just toss this out there. Did you ever look at the fake celeb nudes growing up?
I can't say that I did.
Oh my God, I did all the time. And I for sure saw these Courtney Cox ones. I was like, oh yeah, hello. But they were all fucking JPEGs, man. We were rocking JPEGs back then. It wasn't like deep fakes. I can't even imagine what the deep fakes look like these days, but it was fucking, it was just like these shitty fucking Photoshop JPEGs, but it went around as if they were real, which was even more wild for the 90s.
97. Crazy.
Fucking weird time. Like, people were photoshopping your face onto other people's bodies and it was somehow news. Like,
Since the inception of the internet, it's just been used for fucking nonsense.
pornography and nonsense. Like, that's the summation of the internet. Like, dude, like, why? And why was that a bit, like, that's so crazy. Like, if you ever saw them growing up, they don't look real. Even, dude, I was a fucking idiot kid wishing they were real. And I was like, these are the most fake things I've ever seen in my life. Like, this is insane. Like, this is fucking out of control. Like, but whatever. The fact that I found out that this was like newsworthy, like people were like, wait, are these fucking real? Like, is insane. Also just goes to show you that all the people at the news, like, papers were just fucking perverts, right?
Right.
Like, one of the guys at the newspaper had to be like, so I saw this fucking thing. I saw this thing on the internet. It might be real. I don't know. So we got beef with Cotton, Gail, and the cameraman Joel about the ethics of.
Oh, you didn't mention because you mentioned Portia. Rebecca Gayheart is in it too. Young Rebecca Gayheart.
Who is Rebecca Gay? Oh, wait, but I mean, who's Rebecca Gayheart in terms of life? I don't know. She's an urban legend. Okay.
She is. She's in the Heavy D music video. Which, I mean, nobody knows.
Yeah. That's the one I was thinking.
She's in Jawbreaker.
Yeah, and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, too.
And she was in 90210, I think, at that.
Okay, yeah. Okay, I get it. I get this girl now. Okay. Because I kept seeing the... Oh, yeah. I'm looking at older pic. Okay, got it. Okay. Yeah, so Rebecca Gayheart's in this, too. And, like, again, like, they just... It's so crazy, like, who they were able to, like, snag up for these, like, supporting roles, you know?
Yeah.
And Portia obviously goes on to, like, success after this.
Arrested Development, yep.
Gail and Dewey, we learn had a falling out after the first one. Also, Dewey's hand is, like, paralyzed. And he's also, and by the way, David Arquette in this movie, let's just hash this out real quick. So he's got this paralyzed hand that's like at his side, like Bob Dole style, right?
Yes.
Kind of ish.
Yeah. Yes.
But he's also like walking with a limp, which is explained later in the movie. But I genuinely feel, again, this is just based on, context clues here, right? Like, this thing was so sloppily written and sloppily done and quickly done. I genuinely feel like David Arquette is one of those people that can't rub his belly and tap his head at the same time. And I feel like...
the limp's part because he was keeping his hand up?
I think the limp, he was holding his hand up and then just started limping. And then finally somebody was like, hey, is that guy supposed to be limping like halfway through the movie? And then they were like, fuck, we have to write in an explanation for this now. Because later somebody is randomly like, hey, Dewey, why do you limp? And he's like, fucking nerve damage, you idiot. And like, that's the end of that. That's the end of that conversation. It just doesn't make sense. It just doesn't add up. It doesn't add up. I mean, maybe he just had a limp. I don't know what was going on, but he's also memorized every shitty thing Gail has wrote about him in her book.
Naming the pages that it was written on, which I love that detail.
I do too, because I would be the same fucking way.
Me too.
I'd be coming at you, baby. Don't you show up here talking all sweet, because I know on page 480 you call me a bumbling idiot. And she's like, that was just for the book. Like, Gail. While that's happening, the sorority decides to have their biggest party. But another sorority is not. And we see Cece, who is Sarah Michelle Gellar, who gets the first call of the movie. She's also the first human being to put Ghostface on hold, which is fucking baller. She's just like, hey, hang on one second, you fucking idiot. Like, goes back and talks to her friend. And then like comes back and is like, all right, I'm ready to chat with you. And Sarah, again, another one, will start Buffy later in 1997.
Yes.
and she's coming off of I Know What You Did Last Summer, so like an up and comer, man. Like they just snagging people for this. And this one's weird too because she's talking to Ghostface, and we see Ghostface like skipping around in the background, which seemed weird. Dude,
Ghostface in the scene, like when in 2 seconds from now, when he makes himself known, he's acting like the Scary Movie Ghostface.
Dude,
he's just tripping over shit. They're fucking falling over the recliner. Like,
this motherfucker's silly as fuck.
How do you run into that?
This motherfucker's silly, dude. Because you think she's gonna get got right here, but then her roommate shows up and decides to leave, and she's like, "Don't forget to set the alarm." And while that's happening, you see Ghostface in the background, like literally like scampering around, like the least threatening person I've ever seen in my life. But he chases Cece up what appears to be 10 flights of stairs in this fucking house. He throws her through the balcony window, stabs her 3 times, and then throws her off the roof.
Yes.
I love it. I'm cool with that. That was cool.
Splattered.
Brutal. Love it.
Yes.
This interrupts.
Everclear.
Yeah. I will buy you a new car.
That is the song they should have used.
Or a song about his dad.
Isn't that every song? Crying about his dad?
I don't know. Tune into the fucking Patreon episode to find out. The other sorority party is interrupted by this because the news of the tragic incident has hit the sorority house, and the news vans are there, and the sirens are there, and everything's there. So they're about to leave this party, and then the phone rings at a sorority house. Sydney does not live there. And Sydney's like, I have to answer this fucking phone call.
That's idiotic. Completely idiotic. But I just want to point out, at the sorority, right before that happens, our boy Matthew Lillard makes a cameo. Did you see that?
He does. I did not notice it, but I did read about it.
35 minutes, 35 seconds in. You see him for a split second in the background.
He was dating Neve Campbell at this point.
I did not know that.
Some guys have all the luck, huh?
Good for him. But yeah, what's more idiotic? Neve answering that phone call, or how pumped Rebecca Gayheart is that the cops are at another sorority house?
That was like the weirdest shit.
I've never seen anyone more excited about anything.
That was the weirdest fucking concept of this fucking movie. Yeah, no, it's all fucking weird. But Neve, dude, the phone's ringing, and Jerry O'Connell is like, "We gotta go." And she's like, standing there deciding whether to leave, which yes, or to answer the phone at a house that is not hers. And she does not have to pick up, but she does. And then cue Ghostface attacking her, and the Ghostface locks Derek out. They have a massive chase. Derek eventually gets in, tries to be the hero. He gets stabbed. And Dewey shows up to try and help, only to find Portia and Rebecca Gayheart there, just standing there being like, what's going on? Which, again, weird addition. Now, again, like, they're trying to like copy, like they're really trying to ride the heels of Scream, right? And you're trying to set up here that maybe Derek is the killer. Dude, like, she saw the killer and Derek standing outside, right? And like, she's doing the same thing she did to Billy, which made more sense in that movie, where she's like, I don't know if I trust you. But she's doing that to Derek, who, like, why? Why wouldn't you trust Derek at this point? Like, Derek was like, can we please fucking leave? And you were like, I need to answer the fucking phone. Like, there's no, you know what I mean? Like, there's no second killer here. Like, it seems odd. And the rest of the movie, Derek is kind of tried to, like, be crammed into this Billy role.
Yeah, Derek's a super red herring. As is.
Yeah.
They're trying to make everybody.
And where Sid is like, I don't know if we should be together or I should try. Like, dude, we've seen this with Billy, and Derek is not even close to hitting, like, the Billy level of, like, creepy, but also there for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's not there. It's not fucking there.
Yes. Yes.
Anyway. So finger pointing everywhere in this movie, unlike the first one. So you got Dewey being like, Derek, you're the one to blame. And Derek being like, oh yeah, Dewey? Well, where were you? And Dewey was, dude, every time somebody confronts Dewey about maybe being the murderer, he's like, well played.
Well, dude, our buddy, that classic material, made a comment on my post last week, and he said that he is convinced that Dewey is the third killer and has been the whole time. And you know what? I like it.
I like it too. It would piss me off. Waste my fucking time for fucking 2 decades. But yeah, sure. I'm fine with it. I mean, Dewey just like sucks. Like Dewey's a bad police officer, period. And I know that's the gimmick, right? He is like a bad police officer. But as we get into these later movies, he's like trying to be more of a stand-up guy, and he's just like, oh, all right, fair enough. And I love it because like Dewey in like this last movie, this 5th one, based on the trailers and images I've seen, like Dewey's like a gritty, like Batman-esque ex-cop, which is the funniest shit I've ever seen in my life. I genuinely think, here's my thought on 5 real quick. I think Dewey will be avenged for all of the bullshit he's been put through in these movies in the 5th. I don't think he'll be the killer. I think he'll finally prove himself to be like just an idiot, not a fucking bumbling idiot.
Okay. I mean,
yeah.
Grizzled Batman.
Dude, he is. Like, have you seen the trailer? I know you don't watch a lot of trailers, so
I saw it. Yeah. Well,
dude, he's like, I'm gonna fucking catch this motherfucker, and he's got like a fucking gun in a hollowed out book. Dewey can barely like do basic math in these 2 movies, like, and now he's like fucking like True Grit,
John Wick, yeah,
living out in the fucking woods. Oh, and he like never. That's the other part about it. He never like talks about his fucking dead sister ever in these movies.
I know. I was like, that was really apparent on this one.
Yeah, because
that should be like the main.
Yes.
Like he's out for revenge. Like even in Texas Chainsaw 2, Dennis Hopper, his niece and nephew were Franklin, and Sally, like from the first one.
Right.
So he drives out there to kill these guys. Like, and that movie is batshit insane, but at least they had the foresight to like give that guy that motivation.
Exactly.
Dewey never brings it up once.
Never.
If he was like, I heard that there's been another kill and I'm going to murder them because this happened to my sister, I would be fine with it.
Right. Exactly.
But he never talks about it.
Exactly. And we talked about it last week where I brought it up. I was like, that's weird that he doesn't talk about it. But again, it's the end of the movie. He doesn't really have time. They don't have time to throw that in there and have him like mourn his sister. That's fine. But in the second movie, like that should be like a pretty fucking big plot point for him as his sister was fucking brutally murdered. Maybe the most brutal murder in the movie, right? Like fucking insane. And in this one, not even referenced. And I do think, again, they'll write that wrong in the 5th one because I do think the writing is a little rough in these. I think in the 5th one, he will be like, I think he'll acknowledge Tatum more in the 5th one and be like, my fucking sister, you know what I mean? Because he's grizzled vet Dewey. They've killed everyone Dewey knows and loves. So like, all right. So anyway, finger pointing, blah blah. Gail figures out a pattern of the killer though, and she's like, "Look they're killing the people with similar names from Woodsboro." And they're like, "Oh my god, we've got a copycat killer." So that's that. You get more scenes of accusations. You got Aunt Jackie accusing people, Oliphant accusing people. And then we get the beloved song. Now, this is something you even held off talking about in our bonus episode. He said it was one of the worst things you've ever seen.
This is one of my least favorite things I've ever seen in a movie, period. It is the cringiest scene. So Jerry O'Connell sings the Partridge Family, I Think I Love You. in the college dorm, like in the cafeteria, packed cafeteria, and he's doing it like Heath Ledger does,
Yes.
In 10 Things I Hate About You.
Yes.
But it's this fucking, like, at least the song Heath sings is fucking, like, the Partridge Family song, and it sucks. It's everything about it is cringy, and even cringier is the entire school standing up and like clapping and cheer. I would have taken a salt or pepper shaker and thrown it as hard as I could at this guy's face immediately.
If you, me, or Paul were there, there's at minimum, a fucking shoe going into this guy's teeth. And not one of ours. Somebody else's that we
trying to fucking eat your lunch and having to listen to that? Are you kidding me?
And it goes on for so fucking long.
He takes the entire song. Why is that happening?
And fucking Nev is like, and by the way, Nev at this point is already like kind of trying to break up with him. And that's the vibe I got. I thought she had already tried to break up with him. And he's just like, well, Sid, I think I love you. And you're like, oh, what the fuck? This is insane. And he sings the whole fucking thing. He's dancing on tables, and he should have been fucking tased.
Should have been escorted out. Yeah, should have been tased and escorted out.
Fucking bizarre. Now, the best part of the movie is right now where we get the clips of Stab, where we see Luke Wilson as Billy and Tori Spelling as Sydney. I fucking love that, right?
Yes.
And
in the first one, she makes that comment, like, going my luck, I'd probably be played by Tori Spelling.
Exactly.
That's a good callback.
Which is a great nod to the original. And here's my problem with this, though. Tori Spelling got a Razzie for this performance this year.
Really?
Honestly, Joe, I love the Razzies. That honestly pissed me off more than anything I've ever read in my life.
I mean, it's a movie in a movie.
Dude, it's a movie. Dude, like, they were probably like, hey, can you try to, like, act like a horror actress? You know what I mean? Like you're playing, like, it's so tongue-in-cheek.
Ham it up. Over exemplify it.
And she doesn't even, she just plays it fine. She repeats the same lines as in Scream. How do you
There's nothing Razzie worthy about that.
That honestly, Joe, that honestly pissed me off. Like, I can't even tell you, like, it actually upset me. Because, like, the Razzies are, like, there's, like, an element to the Razzies of, like, you can't, like, if you pick the worst movie, it would be all the fucking made-for-TV movies, right? It wouldn't be fucking Geely wouldn't sweep the Razzies because there were definitely worse movies made. But it's, like, an upper tier, you know what I mean? Like, when you go for it.
Yeah, right.
Tori Spelling is like a fucking, she's in it for 3 seconds. Repeating the lines from the first movie. Like, how can you give her a fucking Razzie for that?
I agree. That is not Razzie.
That is upsetting. That is upsetting. And it was like a Razzie for, like, actress. Like, I don't know. That fucking pisses me off. That honestly
idiotic.
Makes me so fucking. It honestly makes me hate the Razzies, which I always love. But anyway. Meanwhile, Dewey and Randy go over the sequel rules and who the killer might be. And again, Randy's like, well, Dewey, maybe it's you. And Dewey's like, well, let's stop talking about this. It's like the shittiest red herring I've ever seen. Oh, boy. And then we cut to Sydney, who is now the lead actress in some play.
Okay. So this is what I'm talking about in the beginning, about how this is 2 hours long. We don't need to watch Jerry O'Connell sing I Think I Love You. It does nothing for the story. It pushes nothing forward. It doesn't help the relationship.
No.
It's stupid. It's a fucking waste of time. And then to follow it up, fine. The scene that we just talked about where they have the clips on, not super important, but if you want to put that in there, I'm fine with it. And then to follow it up with the Fall of Troy play that Nev is in, cut that out.
Why?
What? The only thing it sets up, no. If it did, I'm sure someone would be like, well, they mentioned it was. Fine. It's not a plot point. It wasn't enough for anybody to fucking know about or care about. And all it does is set up the setting for the finale, which you could have just fucking done, because in that finale, he's drunk and tied to it anyway. So it could have happened regardless.
For sure.
Dude,
Yeah.
Imagine that you live through the death of your mother at the hands of your ex-boyfriend, who then also stalked you and then murdered all your friends, right? And then you find out that he's the one that murdered your mom, and somebody has been locked up for it. This is the most traumatic shit that anybody has ever gone through, and now it's happening again. It's happening again. You're gonna go star in a fucking play? Are you kidding? What? What?
A play where it's like the most stabby play of all time.
Everybody surrounding you is just lunging at you with a knife. And like, regardless, even if you're in, Fiddler on the fucking Roof, it wouldn't matter. Why would you go to that on this day?
Why wouldn't you just go home?
Go home. Go to your dad. That is a great point. They're in college. There's nothing preventing them from just be like, I'm fucking out of here. Like, if this happened to me and I was at college and it started happening again, I would leave. The killer would have to give up their entire planet and follow you back to your hometown. Just fucking leave. Going into that play that nobody knows they're in. It's unbelievable.
All to set up Aunt Jackie getting smothered by styrofoam bricks at the end of the movie.
Which again could have just happened. The building exists. They could nothing would have changed.
You could shoot any one of the other scenes in the theater and be like, Randy's a stagehand in the fucking theater.
Yeah.
The entire sequel conversation could have happened in the fucking theater and
right.
between multiple stagehands, right? Because like they're fucking dorks that love theater and movies,
Right.
Oh my god, that's fucking funny as fuck. I'm actually crying about that fucking rant. Yeah, good old Nev. Well, she's the lead of the play, baby. And anyway, so she's doing this. This is like a rehearsal, right? Like, yeah, it's not even the play.
Yeah, it's a rehearsal.
And everyone's pretending to stab her, and then Ghostface shows up in her robe. Which causes Nev to freak out, but never once does she just jump off the fucking stage, which, would be what any human being would do.
Wait, did Ghostface actually show up? Because I know she was like hallucinating. Like she thought the guy was Ghostface.
Oh, well, I don't know. I guess she never hallucinates later in the movie, so I just assumed Ghostface showed up.
Yeah, but like the scene where she finally comes through, she's like screaming. It's just a guy in his regular costume, but she sees him as Ghostface right before.
Yeah, it sounds like she should probably take a break from college for a little bit then. She
should be, with protective people, like people watching her. You know, she's a prime candidate to be the next victim.
That does happen. That does happen. So Wes has sought you out. Anyway. I mean, not well. Anyway, Derek and Sid end up breaking up again, which I thought had already happened, but it doesn't. After the performance, Sid has like a breakdown, and Derek is like, "Wait, are you breaking up with me?" And she's like, "Yes." And he's like, "I guess I'm supposed to be understanding." What? Kind of
loser. And he gave her his fraternity letters.
Wait, what?
Bracelet, which the fraternity letters, he gives that to her as a gift.
Oh, yeah.
Well, when he sings that song, that comes into play because she uses it as a weapon. That's the only reason I bring it up.
Literally don't. I did not know that happened. I had no idea.
Yeah, dude, what? He gave it to her, and Nev Campbell, and Sydney's roommate is like, "Oh my god, he's not allowed to do that. Like, the fraternity is gonna kill him."
Which, I mean, that is weird because the fraternity. Oh wait. Oh yeah, because he's like a pledge. Right?
Right. That's why he's getting hazed.
Okay. I'm not going to dig into this. It's fucking ridiculous, but like, come on. Kevin Williamson, the king of fucking teen movies. Get a grip, buddy. Like, this is fucking ridiculous. He knows teens. Well, Randy, Dewey, and Gail kind of all converge on the green to discuss what's happening. We got those are our remaining Woodsboro people outside of Nev. And they get a call from Ghostface on their cell phone while they're hanging out in the quad. Randy takes the call while the other two are like, we're going to go find him. We're going to go look for people with cell phones, as if he couldn't be in a tower. So they go to look for Ghostface while Randy delays him on the phone. And I actually liked this moment in this scene, right? I actually thought this was fucking great because it's the first time Randy gets to talk to the killer, right? And like talk movies with the killer. And I was like, I like that, right? Like, that's kind of cool for Randy to be like, what's your fucking favorite scary movie, dickhead? And like, you know what I mean? And like Randy being like, oh, is it? And he starts listing off every college-themed.
One, yeah.
I love it. Yeah. I fucking love it. And he's like, is it this? Is it this? And I love that, right? And
yeah, I love that. And I love that the whole time he's like, you aren't shit compared to Billy and Stu. They're original. And yeah, I love that.
Dude, I loved it too. What I don't love is Randy getting pulled into a news van and fucking killed.
Boombox?
Fucking, the boombox?
Boombox drowning out, 1997. Boombox drowning out the noise.
That is, dude, killing off Randy is probably the biggest mistake a franchise has ever made.
I agree, because 3 and 4 severely lack him.
How, this is a movie now, again, based on the idea of like horror movie lore, right? You need somebody there that gives a fuck about it. And you bring Timothy Olyphant into this one to immediately kill. But he's like supposed to rival, the other people that know about movies. Because Nev doesn't give a fuck, Dewey doesn't give a fuck, and Gail doesn't give a fuck about horror movies.
Right.
Randy's the only one tying that original concept of like, oh, it's the sequel. Oh, it's the trilogy. You know what I mean? Like, he's the only one there that can be like, this happens in these movies. And you fucking kill him off. Like, I'd rather have you kill off Dewey.
Okay, I agree.
Killing off Randy makes no fucking sense.
Randy should have been one of the last.
And to me, like, Wes Craven, he's great, but like, to me, this should have been something he should have been like, no, we're not doing, you're going to make 18 of these. Like, killing off Randy is just such a fucking waste. And to kill him off in this sense, like just a random kill in the middle of the fucking movie. Like, what are you doing? Like,
you don't even give him, justice. Like, not justice in like avenging his death, but a character like Randy that loves horror, he should have had a gory end. And you don't even see it. He just gets pulled into a van.
Dude, yeah. Or like some homage to some fucking, like, it's actually crazy. It's wild that happened, and not in a good way. It's not in the way that they thought that it was going to be. Like, that was brutal. Johnny Muir, who author of Wes Craven's The Art of Horror, called the character's death the most devastating moment of the sequel and a bad call. Muir criticized all the new characters in Scream 2, believing they never attained the same depth of the cast of Scream because of Scream 2's focus on increasing the body count, which I still disagree with. Like, they didn't. They added 2 more people, which was super fucking easy.
2 more and too few and far between.
Yeah. And saying that the film's killer could literally be anyone, as the audience is never provided with enough information about the new characters to form an opinion about them. That's kind of true, but not in the good way, right? Like, it's not like it could be anyone because, we know them all and they all have reasons to kill. It's just anyone because, like, who the fuck cares? Ebert also comments upon this, saying there is no way to guess who's doing the killing, and everyone who seems suspicious is almost sure to be innocent. So it wasn't great, and this fucking kill just sucks. It just sucks. Like, bring Randy back. Bring Randy back, baby.
Yeah.
Which is funny because they constantly murder Dewey and bring him back at the end of every movie.
I know. They have the means to have him survive it, which he does in the first one.
Right. It's fucking ridiculous. Anyway, we go to the library. Sydney's at a computer. It gets hacked. The cops that are now following Sydney freak out. And she's approached by Cotton Weary in this scene. And he was being the creepiest fuck ever, trying to pitch a Diane Sawyer interview, which will come into play later in the worst ending, maybe
the worst way.
And Cotton just blames the entire thing on Sydney, which seems weird because, like, I doubt Sydney was not there at the murder. So why would Sydney's testimony put him in jail?
Sure.
That's the one thing I kept thinking about. They kept being like, oh man, like not even Cotton, like other people are like, man, Sydney put him away, bro. And you're like, wait, what?
It's not like she planted evidence or lied, you know?
Right. Like anything she said was probably truthful, which was that her mom might have had an affair with Cotton Weary. There's no way she could have fingered him in a lineup. Like she wasn't there. So I don't know how Sydney put him in jail. And constantly, like even Gail's like, hey, how does it feel to put this man in jail and he's free? Wait, what? And he even feels the same way, and he feels that she owes her something, which that would be a fine plot point, but the way he does it is nuts. And he's fucking evil in this scene, like, right? Like it's abusive.
He is, and like you said before, he seems like a good guy when he's like, why wouldn't you like give her a heads up here? Which, hey, Cotton, why like you corner her when she doesn't know that you're there? Like, do this interview, I'll fucking kill you.
It's like totally off base from what we know about Cotton and what we will see in the future with Cotton, sort of ish. It's all bizarre. It's all so bizarre the way they frame Cotton in this movie, and again, they're trying to emulate the first one, but it doesn't work with Cotton. Like, you need to, like, lighten Cotton up. Like, no one in the first one was so obviously violent and mean that you were like, you don't need to do that to make them look like a potential killer.
Yeah, I mean, Cotton grabs her forcefully here. And then when she finally breaks free, he follows her into a library being like, I'll fucking kill you. And the cops slam him into the wall. And then cut to the police station, and he's just being like, newsflash, buddies, I'm innocent. Like, okay, you still fucking grab someone in front of everyone and then started like threatening to beat them.
Which again, another scene that doesn't need to happen and wastes about 10 minutes of the movie of Cotton being arrested.
Cotton in a police station?
Yes. Yeah. Dude, it's fucking absurd because like all you had to do was make Cotton like they do for everyone else in the movies, just like look around weirdly and be like, burr, burr, burr. Like, okay, that's enough. We get it. Cotton might be the guy. Like,
or they could have just cut that scene, right? They could have had the cops slam him against the wall, and then that scene's gone. And then in like a throwaway line, Gail could have been like, "Oh, by the way, Cotton was cleared." Like, you know, they released him.
Absolutely.
Then you know he's back out. You don't have to watch them fucking talk to. They're not even interrogating.
Dude, the interrogation is so fucking long, and they're like, "All right, Cotton, just fess up." And Cotton's like, "Didn't you know? I'm free." And they're like, "Oh, fuck." And then that's Cotton walking out.
Dude, that's pretty much it. Except for some reason that like gets repeated 4 or 5 more times.
Yes, it's like 7 times.
Maybe you need a dictionary. Look up the word innocent.
Yeah, well, what about this? Yeah, no, that's the same fucking trial, buddy. How about this? Oh, yeah, well, how about poor fucking Sydney? Oh, I don't know, Sydney. Oh, all right. Well, free to go then. And Cotton's free, and it was a waste of our time. And like all really Cotton had to do was just like grab Sydney's wrist and be like, don't talk to me like that. Or you know what I mean? Like all you had to do was like, I need this. You know, like it wasn't hard to write Cotton. Cotton's already a suspect from the first movie.
Right.
Like he actually could have done nothing in this movie and you'd still be like, maybe.
Could have just been like Cotton Weary.
Maybe it's Cotton.
Yeah, that's it.
Like Cotton's just a suspect, period.
Yes.
Fucking insane. So Cottons are released, everyone freaking out. Joel, the cameraman's like, I've had a fucking enough, quits. And Gail, sees the error in her ways. She throws down the camera because Dewey's like, Dewey comes out and she's like, what's the scoop? And Dewey's like, fuck you. I want to solve this. And Gail's like, well, so do I. And Dewey's like, God damn it. I fucking love you. So Gail and Dewey are now together. They go examine, because Gail, like, Joel quits. He leaves the footage there. He's like, this is just crowd shots. Gail and Dewey are like, hey, why wouldn't the killer want to see, the results of his murder? He's probably in the crowd. Let's review this footage. So they do. And then they decide to fuck the shit out of each other in the classroom. When suddenly the man in the projection booth somehow turns on a VHS
Dude,
television at the bottom of the stage. Because that's how projection rooms work. But that's fine. So, like anyone, listen, we got a lot of great messages that were like, I thought you were going to make fun of Scream. I'm so glad you guys liked it. Blah, blah, blah. We love you guys. Scream 2, I know, has a huge fan base, and we love you guys. But, if you're going to defend it, this is a moment, and I get it. Sometimes we'll pick apart something that, was explained and we didn't pick up on it. There's no reason for this. Why is Ghostface in the projection room behind a projector, and he somehow turns on a TV and a VHS from up there? That's fucking ridiculous. That's fucking dumb. And basically immediately gives away, and I mean, it is the end, but immediately gives away who it is, because there's only one dickhead who has been carrying around a camcorder this entire time. And that's our boy Timothy Justified, baby. Timothy Oliphant.
Yeah.
So he turned.
You know what? I guess to put logic to it, because there is two of them, right?
Yeah.
So one of them could have turned the one down on the bottom.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
We can give the credit. It's still stupid, and to have Gail be like, "That's not my footage," and then have the footage of them making out right now.
While it's happening. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah. And also you're in the projection room, you might as well just put it on the big screen. That's clearly there.
Sure. Yes. Use what it's there for.
There's a million things. Anyway, so Ghostface is here. He's got him. Dewey, there's some chases. Dewey falls down the stairs, leaving Gail to fend for herself. They're running in and around the theater and the studio and the sound stage where it's soundproof, where we ultimately see Dewey, what we assume is killed. He is stabbed multiple times by Ghostface here.
Yes.
Gail's locked in the sound room though, but Ghostface disappears. So we don't really know what happens there. Meanwhile, Derek is getting pulled into the most insane fraternity hazing I've ever fucking seen in my fucking life. They basically crucified him on a fucking thing, and they're pouring beer down on his fucking dick, and he's just like, "Oh, it's so cold." Meanwhile, by the way, wait, I forgot all this happens after Dewey's been stabbed 4 times. Dude, Dewey's dead. What are we talking about? How do we bring Dewey to life at the end of this fucking movie? Dude, so much happens after this. This is insane. This is fucking nuts.
He should have bled out.
Dude, stabbed 6 times in the back. Fucking already suffering a spinal cord injury, a nerve injury. Anyway, so we cut to that to Nev. Wait, I'm sorry. Where the fuck are we? Oh, so we go to Nev, who is in a car with her friend Hallie, and 2 cops that are escorting them to basically a safe house. Right? They go to a stoplight. Ghostface shows up, fucking kills one of the cops, brutally maims the other one. Ghostface gets in the car, runs over the one living cop, and then crashes the car into just a mess that causes a pole to go through that cop's fucking brain.
Yes.
That is fucking gruesome. That was nuts. That was an insane.
That's probably my favorite kill in the movie.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it's nuts. The guy's like still twitching and moving after it happens. It's absolutely brutal.
Yeah.
But Ghostface is knocked out in the front seat. And you get a really great moment here of Sid trying to escape by...
Yeah, and the only way to do it is to climb into the front and go out the driver's side window over Ghostface.
Crawling over Ghostface. For sure. Like, that's a fucking terrifying moment.
Great scene.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And
her roommate's in the back, and they try to get her out, the normal way, opening the door. Doesn't work. So then she has to do it too. So you're like... as a viewer, you're like, there's no way it's going to happen twice.
Right.
And it does. It's really well done. They run down the street, and then Sydney's like, I have to see who it is. Which, I guess I understand that.
You should have fucking pulled that shit off as you ran away.
Should have done it immediately. And also, you should have just stabbed him right in the throat with anything. I mean, he has a knife on him, right?
Right.
Like, just fucking stab him. Make sure that he's not going to wake up. But, she's like, I have to go see him. They argue back and forth. Keep in mind, they're only like 10 feet away from the car, right? Yes. So she turns around and she walks back to the car, and Ghostface is not in it anymore, which honestly fucking pissed me off because there's no way they wouldn't have noticed. Even if they were like engaged in that conversation and not looking at each other, you would have at least heard that bumbling idiot crawl or open the door or climb out, like anything, right?
Anything, yeah.
And why would he go, dude? He would have walked around the block to come out where he came out, right? She's like, he's not there. He would have had to do that so fast. And also, like, how does he even know where they are? Like, know the area and know where to come out. It's fucking, that seems stupid.
It was not great. It like started off such like a strong moment and then ends in just like the shittiest way. And ultimately,
and that's the tale of this movie. It's great stuff followed up by stupid stuff.
Right. And Ghostface kills Hallie and Sid runs away. Now, they've been driving in that car for a little while here. So it's not like they're like right next to campus, but somehow Sydney immediately is back in the fucking theater.
Yeah.
She finds Derek, who's been tied up, crucified, and releases him. And then the killer reveals himself very quickly. And it's Timothy Oliphant.
Yes.
And he claims that his partner is Derek. And he's like, we fucked up, buddy. Like playing that. And Derek's like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Like, why are you saying that? Sydney's having basically a flashback of the first movie, right? Where to find out not only was it your boyfriend, but it was like this guy that you hung out with too. But like slightly reversed. So it's a good moment there. But then Timothy shoots Derek, immediately killing him. And Sydney's immediately sad about this, which I'd be like, nah, that motherfucker deserved to die. Then you get another giant monologue before they.
I do like like what Timothy's saying here about how because she Neb 2 is like, you're a knockoff of Billy.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, I'm not. And he said Billy didn't want to get caught. I want to get caught. I want to like blame it on the movies. And he's like, he named people like Bob Dole who like come to my defense. And he's like, this is what I live for, which is fucking psychotic. And I think Sidney says that in those exact words, like you're psychotic. And he's like, yeah, I am. And at this point, he's playing it, like Timothy Oliphant's character does. It isn't until we see the next killer that Timothy decides to go full Matthew Lillard, and it's so fucking annoying.
In the most bizarre fashion I've ever seen. Because no one can do that. No one could do Matt Lillard. Like, that was just his moment. That was him being fucking weird. And as we talked about last week, Matt Lillard was like, I don't know why I was behaving like that. Like,
yeah, but he at least does it the entire movie.
Right.
Even before he's a killer,
right.
He's acting like that.
Right.
So, like, it's consistent. Now, I'll wait. Because in this scene, he's like, there is a partner, and in comes Laurie Metcalf, right?
Laurie Metcalf, who now has Gail Weathers dead to rights, tied up with a gun to her. and yeah, and Gail and she is Debbie Salt is actually Mrs. Loomis. Now, that in theory I'm fine with. What I'm not fine with is that this woman has been around campus this entire fucking time, running around. She's at every crime scene Nev's at. Nev has for sure seen this woman, and Nev's the one that tells us that it's Mrs. Loomis.
Yeah. She recognizes her immediately.
Fucking the dumbest shit I've ever. And by the way, Gail Weathers wrote a fucking book about this entire town and the fucking murders that happened. How does she not know that this is fucking Mrs. Loomis? And I think she
says something, and she's like, "Well,
fat.
yeah." She's like, a little bit of work and getting in shape. Blah,
That's
blah.
fucking ridiculous. That's fucking absurd, Joe. That's
you would still know. I know you would still know.
Nev knew. Nev hasn't seen this woman.
This is Nev's first time seeing her since the events of
the same time as
before
Gail.
the last film.
And Gail's like, what?
Yeah.
What are we talking about? This is fucking ridiculous. This is fucking insane. This honestly pissed me off more than anything. Would you do Nev? As soon as she sees her.
I mean, that did piss me off, but what pisses me off more is Nev says Mrs. Loomis, right? So we know, anybody watching the movie knows it's Billy's mom. Then we have to listen to Timothy Oliphant do the biggest Lillard impression, be like, Billy's mom. We know, Timothy. She just fucking announced it.
Everything from here to the end, honestly, upsets me. Including that they met on a psycho dating website. She's like, oh, it's so rare to find a serial killer on there. What the fuck? The fuck are we talking about? What are we fucking doing? What? Who is writing this? Fucking Wes and fucking jerk job John fucking whatever his name is. Kevin Williamson, not
Kevin Williamson.
You say, take the stand for your fucking trial, because right now this is not great. Fucking assholes. What? Yeah, no, that was a fucking dummy script. This was the ending we've been planning all along. Wow, you took fucking whatever. It's upsetting. It's not great, dude. It's not. And I appreciate everyone that loves this movie, but this ending is rough. And I get it. I get the concept is fucking, I'm fine with the concept. I'm fine with Billy's mom being the killer.
Billy's mom being the killer is a fine motivation.
Yep.
I'm fine with it too. The execution wasn't great.
The execution was fucking absurd. Dude, a psycho dating website? What are we talking about? What? And by the way, they kill Timothy right now, really easily.
Yes.
They just shoot him. She just shoots fucking Tim. Tim's dead, who then shoots Gail. Gail's gone. So we get on in the most tropey fashion, right? She shoots Tim and Tim's like, oh, and then just shoots wildly in the air, shooting Gail. And then Aunt Jackie chases Sydney. We get the usual back and forth here, except this time it's on a stage. So we get fake lighting and fake lightning and sandbags falling and lights falling and et cetera, as Nev is just hitting ropes with an axe. And Aunt Jackie's just running around. And Aunt Jackie is ultimately subdued by a bunch of styrofoam bricks, which fall on her, which it's supposed to suspend your disbelief for a moment, which I guess I'm sort of fine with. It's fucking the aggro crag, dude. You're an adult woman is not going to be subdued by that. But ultimately, she ends up getting the jump on Sydney. She has her dead to rights. And then Cotton Weary shows up with a fucking gun.
Yep.
Now, I was like, cool, Cotton's back to being the good guy. That's fine. But Cotton is super pissed at Sydney. And he's like, I don't know who to fucking kill. And it's so hard to follow because Aunt Jackie's just like, kill her, Cotton. She's an idiot and she doesn't want to do interviews with you. And he's like, well, that's a
And he's like, oh, fuck, remember Diane Sawyer?
That's a fucking solid point, Aunt Jackie. And Aunt Jackie...
and he shifts the barrel of the gun to Sydney.
And then he's like, solid point. And then she's like, I'll kill her. And then, you're the sole survivor and you get all the interviews forever. And he's like, whoa, that sounds legit. I like that. And then he's like, well, Sydney, it's your choice. Do you want to do the Diane Sawyer interview or no? Dude, all of this boiling down to the fucking Diane Sawyer interview is the most insane thing I've ever heard. And then Sydney's like, I'll do it. And he's like, fine. And then shoots on Jackie. No.
And then immediately it's like, oh, by the way, I would never.
Like, dude.
Killed you.
Okay. So, like, anyone that's going to be like, he was never going to kill Sydney, that is not even remotely conveyed in this moment. Like, I'm sorry. Like, Cotton is such a piece of shit earlier that you can't, like, that's where it fails, right? That's where the movie fails.
Yeah.
And it's not like a total failure. Like, that's why I don't mind the movie. It's like fine. But like when you look at it, it's like just so poorly done that you're like Cotton was a piece of, like, I don't like fucking Cotton. Cotton's a scumbag.
He should not be the hero. Yeah.
Cotton's a fucking scumbag. And for him to be like, hey, by the way, Sid, all of that was bullshit. I'm good to go. Here's the gun. See, I was never going to shoot you. That's fucking insane because you could have shot Jackie the entire time. You could have just showed up and shot Jackie instead of showing up and being like...
Instead of like, I'm having a bad fucking day. Sydney is being held at knife point.
Dude, she's a hostage.
And to be like, somebody needs to explain what's happening. It's pretty clear cut, Cotton.
You have the jump on them. And for a moment where you're like, Sydney might be the killer in all of this. You fucking lunatic. Like, to show up and be like, whoa, what's happening here? I'm lost. I've not been involved.
Somebody has a lot of explaining to do.
Both of you give your sides of the story, even though I definitely will not act on it right now. What are you talking about? We do get our one last jump scare as Gail's hand from the orchestra pit grabs Sydney's hand. Gail's been shot in the abdomen, by the way. She should for sure probably be dying. But she's not.
These guys eat bullets.
Do they except fucking Randy, who's fucking deader than a doornail. I guess he should have been shot, not stabbed.
Yeah.
Gail, says, is she dead? Sydney says, I don't know. They always come back. Cue Timothy Oliphant acting like an absolute maniac, popping up and being like, blah, 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 and just getting blown away. And then Sydney ultimately shooting Aunt Jackie one more time in the fucking skull, which was pretty, honestly, kind of gruesome. The movie ends. We get our crew outside, just kind of licking their wounds, and then you hear, we got a live one here, and out comes fucking Deputy Dewey. And Gail, she has the moment to, dish the scoop, right? She's the reporter there. Joel shows back up and is like, I'm ready to work. And she's like, no, I'm going to go with Dewey to the hospital. So we know that that's real. Meanwhile, the media clamors around Sydney, asking what it's like to be a hero. She tells them to talk to Cotton. And you're like, oh, that's fucking weird, because Cotton's a fucking piece of shit. And then Cotton also continues to be a piece of shit when they approach him, and he's like, all right, you want to talk to me? Pay up, bitches. Which also I don't blame him for.
Sure.
Give me that fucking money, man. I've been in prison for a year. And that's the end. You get a weird ass Goo Goo Doll song at the end. Fake Goo Goo Dolls. It wasn't the real Goo Goo Dolls, as we discussed on our fucking Patreon episode. It's fake.
Wait, what song is it that plays?
I'm pretty sure it's It's
Collective Soul. It's
Collective Soul. Yeah, it's the Collective Soul song, which is like way
because they wanted to do Bittersweet Symphony.
Yeah, and then instead
they didn't want to pay enough for it.
And then they were like, "Can you add some violins to that?" And they were like, "Yeah, I guess." So that's what they did. An earlier version of the script had a creepy addition to the film, which was a third Ghostface watching from the campus bell tower, which I felt like in that moment as it zoomed out on the bell tower, I was like, there's for sure a Ghostface there, right? And there wasn't, but
yeah,
that was what they had in mind. That was what they had in mind. So that's Scream 2, baby.
That's it.
So what are your thoughts, man? Like, I mean, we got 2 more to go and a third after that. But, to me, a major, like, decline in quality.
A major step back compared to the first one.
Agreed.
It's fun enough. If somebody really enjoys it, I can get it. If somebody really hates it, I can also get it. I'm pretty down the middle. I don't think it holds up as much as I don't think it holds up as much as it once did for me.
No.
But it's still fun enough. I wouldn't deter someone from watching it.
No, it's a good watch. I'll watch it again next year. I think I'm going to do it every December. I'm going to watch all 4 or 5 of them. And, like, it's fine. Like, it's fine where it is. I know we picked it apart, but, and it's not great, but I'm hoping that 3, I know this is crazy. I'm hoping 3 kind of like just kind of boosts it back up a little bit, you know?
I remember nothing about 3, so I'm excited to do it.
Dude, I'm so excited for 3 and 4 because I don't remember anything.
Yeah.
Lexi, Cult of Craven, as she goes by on the internet, she reminded me that fucking Hayden Panettiere's in 4.
Oh boy.
And I was like, holy shit, like what? Like, what are we talking? Like, wait, what? And I forgot that that's just like a whole other generation in 4. And I feel like 4 is going to be very similar to 5. I think it was meant to be a passing of the torch, but didn't do it well. And then 5 is like a forced passing of the torch because no one's involved in it. They're either dead or not involved. So, that's that. Now, oh, dude, this episode's so fucking long.
It's late.
Fucking, should I read these or should I?
Holy fuck. Save it for next time.
All right. We'll save it for next time. We'll read your emails. I'm sorry I didn't get to them this time. We'll read your emails next time. So that's it for this episode, guys. Oh, and we're making a little bit of an audible to our live show. It's not going to be Cherry Falls this month. We're going to save that for another live show in a couple months. This month, we can't not do Scary Movie, right? Like, that's fucking nuts.
Yes. A lot of people have been asking us to do a
Scary Movie covers 1, 2, and 3, surprisingly. Even though it's released the same year as 3, there's a 3 reference in it. Clearly, it was probably like shoehorned in last minute. But 1 and 2 are very much covered in Scary Movie. So we can't not do it. As well as I Know What You Did Last Summer, which we did this summer. So
yeah, we got to do it.
We got to do it. So Scary Movie as the Patreon live show this month coming up in January. So get ready for that. That'll be super fun. Facebook.com/IHateHorror, IHateHorror.com, Twitter.com/IHateHorror, and at Instagram at IHateHorror. I don't know if I said that. Also, merch is not back up yet. I think I said we'll do it on January 3rd, maybe. I don't know. I'll launch it. Yeah, I'll try and launch it January 3rd. I don't know what I said last time, but whatever we have left, which is kind of limited, especially in the long sleeves, which are dope. Did you check out your long sleeve?
Hell yeah.
Dude, those are fucking amazing. Those will be available at IHateHorror.com starting January 3rd. So check that out. And that's it, guys. So thank you all. Thanks, Joe, for doing the show with me. As always, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. And that's it. So next week, Scream 3. Scream 3. So for Joe, this is Sean. Stay weird. Oh, wait, Joe, where can they find you? Where can they find you?
Instagram, Boogdish1985.
All right. And for Joe, this is Sean. Stay weird.
Thank you.
Adios.
Movies all fucking day.
Wanna play?
I'm gonna watch what I'm not supposed to watch.
A fucking zombie getting sliced and diced. The monster.